Okay, we've been talking about installing and using VirtualBox. In the previous video, I talked about installing it. I've done a demo of that. Now we're going to talk about some of the basic interface components, and we'll go deeper in that on subsequent videos. What you see in front of you is the VirtualBox Manager, basically the overview of what you've got available. Um, you'll see now this look and feel is if you've used Hyper-V or VMware, this is very different. Um, you won't have the tabbed view that you see in VMware Workstation. Um, what you have here is something a list of your VMs and their current state, roughly analogous to what you would see in um, the library pane if you have it turned on of VMware Workstation. Then this is on the left. Now on the right, you've got your details. You can also click the snapshots button to see any snapshots that you have. You'll see general information. It's the VM's name, its operating system, whatever you told it about as you were setting up the guest OS. Some system information, boot order, acceleration if there is any, how it's going to handle nested paging or para-virtualization, how much memory it has, what kind of video it's got, and how much video memory it's using. You won't see resolution, but you'll see more of the hardware side of this. You'll see your storage options, your drive, usually on SATA port 0, the name of the of the virtual hard drive, which you should note is tied to the name of the VM itself, and that's something you should expect to keep. Um, as I mentioned in a previous video, if you misname the VM and then go change the name of the VDI file, it'll break everything. Your options there are to change or to leave it the VDI file with the wrong name, or if you've not got too far down the road on the VM, if you've just spun it up, if you haven't wasted a lot of spent a lot of time rather on it, and you realize, I really do want all these things to match. I want the name of the file to match the name of the VM, etc., to match the host name that you give it internally or whatnot. You're just going to have to throw it away and start over. Um, and that was one of the other videos I did, um, installing the guest OS. Now, you do have a toolbar. The toolbar, of course, is this part right here, the icons. You've got both a menu bar and a toolbar. And we're going to let's talk about that now. So we've got we see new, settings, discard, and start. Okay. These are the quick functions. Say, for example, you don't want, if you want to spin up a VM, there are actually several different ways to do that. You can do it through the file menu, you can do it through the machine menu, or you can just click the new button and start the wizard. If you've got a VM you want to start, you can right click it and choose run, or you can go to machine and choose run that way, or you can just click the start button. And you'll notice that there is a drop down, the little arrow that indicates that there's a drop down here. You can also use the start button to do things like restart or shut down. Then, of course, your settings. Your settings will take you into controlling a lot of this stuff in here. Memory, video memory, drive settings, etc., etc. So, and then, of course, there's the file menu. You can use to get to the global settings. You can use that to import and export appliances, create images, do network operations. Say, if you want to make a change to the virtual networking inside VirtualBox, you go through the file menu. Two of the big ones are preferences and import appliance. You can also do export appliance, manage your virtual media, go into network operations, check for updates, so that you don't have to worry about checking the VirtualBox website to see if there's a new version. You can have it reach out and get that. And we're also going to talk. Let's look a little bit closer at the file menu itself. So you've got some options here. These are your preferences. General preferences. You see where it's authorization, the default location for the VM. If you're going to move the VM, you're going to change this. You've got input, update, language, and a bunch of other things. And So for input, you can change the keyboard shortcuts that you use to interact with the with the guest operating systems and with the hypervisor. You can decide when it updates, how it updates. Say, for example, if you want it to download updates but not install them. If you want it to not down, if you want to just do everything for you, you can leave it that way. Or tell it to download the updates or not, but not install, or set it to not install unless you tell it, or sorry, not even update unless you tell it, etc. You can change the language of the interface. So if you grew up speaking another language, and you want to use VirtualBox in the language you grew up speaking rather than English, you can do that. You can change default window sizes for the guest OS window. You can give it an automatic setting or a specific height. Say, for example, you are using a smaller screen and VirtualBox wants to make things bigger than they need to be. You can fix that. You can set up host-only networks, NAT, so that you can control and sandbox these virtual machines. Um, you can manage extensions, you can set up a proxy, and do things like that. In the next video, we're going to talk about the machine menu, manipulating individual virtual machines. So the file setting is more global. The machine menu is more specific to a given VM. And a lot of the things you could do by right-clicking or interacting in the library or with the Start button, you can also do in the machine menu. I'll talk about that in the next video.